Okay, should be working. Hello, gamers. My name is AG Ferrero, and I will be showing you how to make a nice EU4 map. So this is kind of an adaptation of Dovska, I think that's how you pronounce it. His tutorial that is on YouTube. He has a couple, but I'm actually referring to um, the second version. If you look it up, you can actually find the one that uses Photoshop, but I am referring to the one that uses paint.net. So I don't know if this is the second version, but in any case, you have some links in the download. You have Get Paint. This is to download paint.net. The template, which is super important. You'll see that in a second. Circle text, which can be useful if you want to like curve your text and make it a little fancier. I mean, it really depends on like the shape of your empire, but and also object edges. But I will not actually be using object edges because my approach is it uses some of the resources that he provided, but it's not necessarily exactly the same thing. So, we have a couple of things we're going to be working with. We have this. We have his template, which is here. And this is actually what happens when you go to the geography map mode. I'll show you. This is roughly what happens when you go to the geography map mode of EU4 and you press F10. F10 generates a PNG, I believe, of whatever map mode you're currently in. So if you're in the political map mode, you'll get something like this. Open recent. We'll do my Arabia game. So this is what happens when you press F10. In the political map mode, you can see all the countries here in a very clean format. You have Arabia, of course, that's who I played as. You have France, Spain, Russia was gigantic in this, but... So, we are going to be making a map for my Arabia game. So, here the first thing we're going to do is we want to select what territory we are working with. Now, you basically want to select yourself and all your vassals, if you so choose. And the way to do this is here. There's the magic wand tool. You want to select it. You want to turn it to a global flood mode rather than a localized one. So for some reason, contiguous means localized, and it's represented by a light bulb. Global is, well, global, and it's represented by a thunder cloud, or a rain cloud. I don't really know why, but it doesn't matter. You want to turn the tolerance down to 0. If you were to keep it at 50, it would actually select all shades of green, or hell, even just colors that are roughly similar, or just textures present within the file that are roughly similar. But you can see if I turn my tolerance down to 0, that's my laundry. If you turn the tolerance down to 0, the only thing it will select is your territory, or all colors corresponding to this particular shade of green. So we're going to hit Control-C, or if you prefer, we can do Edit and Copy. Then we're going to switch over to the template, and we're going to do a couple of things. So the first thing we're going to do, I am actually going to delete layer 6 and the texture. Now you could keep these if you want to keep a more like antiquated, maybe like parchment paper kind of look, but I prefer something that looks like it came out of a Wikipedia article because, well, it's fun to read Wikipedia articles, right? So then we're going to go to outer borders and we're going to paste. Now usually it pastes right where the empire existed on this map, because the thing about these two pictures is that they're exactly the same resolution. You can more or less tell here. However, sometimes it'll like paste it here, and the way to do that, or the way to work around this, is you drag it to like roughly where it should be, and then you find a geographical like point at which you can align it using the arrow keys. So I am selecting Cyprus here. I want this little bit here to match up with this, so I'm going to press down once and then left twice, and now it is aligned perfectly, and I can actually hit escape, and now you have this. And hell, I mean, this even kind of looks nice on its own, but of course we're going to take it a step further. Now we're going to paste it once in outer borders, and then we're going to go to inner borders, or inner glow, I guess, and we're going to paste it again. Now, you may be wondering why you would paste it twice. Well, the reason is because we're going to add borders. So, to add borders, you could use I think it was like object lining that was present within the YouTube, the YouTube downloads, the description. You could use that. Or, I think it's built into paint.net. You can go to effects, you can go to stylize, and you can go to outline. Now, the way I like doing it is I really like giving it like a very um very very intense. So what that means is like if you have it like at 50, then the outer pixels kind of like fade into the inner. And okay, we're definitely not doing this, but we actually I like doing it at intensity 100 so that each pixel on the border is 100% filled in. It gives it a very I don't know, Wikipedia kind of look. You have to keep in mind that if you're working with like historical context, empires, like the way borders work shifts over time, and like the concept of the border has changed over time, and even as late as 1821, a lot of borders are more arbitrary than like officially decreed. But if we were to pretend that this was a country from like, I don't know, 2019, we could say, oh yeah, this is exactly where the border is, and we're going to define it very well with an intensity of 100 and a thickness of 3 or 2 if you prefer. I like 3 because it's definitive but not too intense. If you have it at 4, it gets a little messy because then if you see islands get like completely glossed over with border. So we're going to say okay. We're going to hit escape and we're going to zoom in to make sure everything looks clean. You can see it really does a good job of like outlining the coast, and yeah, certain islands like Bahrain here kind of get like painted over entirely by the thickness of the border, but that's okay. Things like Crete and Cyprus are still pretty much preserved, and overall it's a very clean look. Now you have this layer sitting on top of this one, but we want it so that we cut out the inner part of inner glow so that only the green border remains. So now we're going to go back to our magic wand, which is going to be like the most important tool of this entire tutorial. We're going to select the inside of the inner glow, and we're going to hit delete on the keyboard. Now the border is not visible, but if I were to deselect outer glow, you could still kind of see the borderline around our territory. So here, the next step, we're actually going to go to adjustments, and we're going to go to hue/saturation, and we're going to take lightness and turn it all the way down. Now, it does not make the border exactly black. In fact, if you were to take the eyedropper tool and select this color, it's not entirely black. It's like a very dark shade of green. But we can make it black. You can also stylize it a little bit. So instead of making it black, we can also, I just hit Control Z by the way to undo. We can actually have it, instead of being green, we can have it be red. So you can kind of like use the saturation meter to make it a different color. Or another thing we can do is for more like exact coloring, we could do lightness at -100, hit OK. Now we zoom in real close on the border, we select the paint bucket tool, and we fill it in. Now, when we fill it in, we don't want to be using anti-aliasing, because if you use anti-aliasing, it kind of like makes the filling kind of like fuzzy, and that can mess up things later on. And just believe me, it's better if you have it without anti-aliasing, so that it sticks to the border exactly. We go to colors here, and now we could select, oh, I want a red border, because I feel like red and green works quite nicely with Arabia, considering its flag and just general color themes. And in general, when you're doing this, you want to like be keeping in mind like, oh, what kind of theme am I going for? What kind of like map am I going for? Am I going for a map that looks antiquated? Am I going for a map that looks like modern, like out of a Wikipedia page, which I lately have preferred this kind of style? Or like, what kind of color am I going for? And so I'm going for green as a primary and red as a secondary. So now we have this, and the next thing I like to do is to crop it. So my preferred resolution is to match the resolution of my screen, which is 1920 by 1080, I believe. So we're actually going to go to we're going to go to the rectangle select. We're going to say fixed size. We're going to do 1920, and as the height, we're going to do 1080. So now, whenever I click with this, it will select the top left corner of that resolution. And so you can hover over and see like, this seems good. You can also make it a little bit like off center, because then you can add more stuff over here. So I'm actually going to do that. I'm going to make it a little off center so that I have some room to add like a banner and like a title to the country. Now I don't want to leave any of Ireland in there without meaning to. So I'm going to use move selection, which is different from move selected pixels. So if I were to use move selected pixels and move it, I would be literally moving the layer that I have selected up and down, which I don't want to do. But I'm going to use move selection, and I'm going to press my down key 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now I am below Ireland, and I will crop it by hitting crop to selection. So now we have the Arabian Empire. It's something I really liked about this campaign is that I started as Mamluks and everything kind of like branched out of Cairo. And you could work with themes like that in your map, but I'm going to just stick to more like the basics for now. So we have your territory here. And we can choose now what to do with it. We can make it more or less like a homogeneous kind of like big green blob, which in all fairness, it totally is. We can parse it up territorially and add like borders between regions, and that would be like a whole different thing I could do a video on because that takes a little bit more time. Or we can simply add labels for cities. So I'm going to add some city labels because, well, they look nice, and you can add labels for cities depending on the development levels of those cities. So now you might ask yourself, how exactly am I supposed to find the development level for each city? Well, it's quite simple. So, oh my god, the EU4 music is so loud. Okay, there's a couple ways to go about this. My favorite way of doing it is this. So I select my save file. It takes a little bit to load. Then, I load in the development level. So I hit U, or just select the map, and then I can hit F10. And it generates a map just like it would if you had the political map mode or the terrain map mode or even like regions, which again we could use some other time, but not now. And then we want to exit EU4 before the music fucking causes my ears to implode. Okay, cool. Then we want to go here to a site called scanderbag.pm, and it's a super useful tool for well, for a lot of things, but namely for what we are going to do now with the Mamluks. So we're going to go to upload. I'm going to go to Iron. I mean, depends on if you played Standard or Iron Man. You want to choose your file. I'm going to go to, let's see. Paradox, EU4, save games, Mammies. Open. We're going to upload it. It's going to take a little bit of time to upload. That's totally fine. And in the meantime, we can go to paint.net and we can open the file that was generated from that F10. So we go with Paradox Interactive, EU4, screenshots, and it's going to be, well, for some reason I think it saves like multiple screenshots if you're in the loading screen, but that's okay. So we we now have the development map mode, which there's not a whole lot of development in the Tunisian desert, but it doesn't matter. It's totally fine. And we're actually going to go back here, and we're going to hit rectangle select. I'm going to copy this, go to here, and then we're going to add a new layer, and we're going to paste over it, and see, it did the thing. So we're going to align it. 1, 2, there we go. So you want to put the empire here. Use your magic wand. Have it at global flood mode at tolerance 0. Select it, and then we're going to zoom all the way out. Go to rectangle select and select the entire map. Now we have selected everything that isn't the Arabian Empire. We hit delete. We delete layer 2. And now we're left with the development levels of our provinces. So this is useful because we can actually overlap this with this, and it becomes very easy to pinpoint where those little bits of development are located. So, I mean, obviously you have like Tunis, Cairo and its surrounding cities, Constantinople, Mecca and Medina, and I forgot the name of this city. But you have a bunch of development scattered everywhere, and this will help you pinpoint exactly where that's located. So now we're going to hit Control A, and that selects the entire file, which is fine. Hit Control C to copy it. We go here. We're going to make a new layer. Make sure to do this because otherwise you'll paste over what you currently have, and paste it. We're going to keep the canvas size, and you could see because we cropped it earlier, it's really, really, really goddamn big, but that's okay. We're going to zoom all the way out and drag the country that is currently hidden outside the buffer, and we're going to put it where it should be in here. And again, we're going to align it. So there we go. So now we have this. So we can enter, and now we have the development map mode layered over all of this. So now if we go to scannerbeg.pm, it never like gives you a confirmation that the map has been uploaded, but we're going to go to my maps. We're going to select the Arabia game in my case. This is not what the game looks like in 1821, but hopefully it fixes that once you get into the map. Yep. So, oh, actually there's like a timeline feature I think that they recently implemented, which is super cool. So now we can use scannerbeg.pm so that we don't have to keep alt-tabbing between EU4 and paint.net because EU4 does not alt-tab very well, but Chrome does. So we can go here to the development map mode. And so the coloration is a little bit different in scannerbeg.pm, but you could still, like, the big thing is that the development map mode here gives you the locations of the development. So, like, I know Cairo has a shit ton of development, which I think had like 52. Hold on, let's see. Had 51, yeah. Because it's very, very, very green. So I know whatever is here has a lot of development, but I don't know immediately what the name of the province is. And that's where scannerbeg.pm comes in. So I can click that province in question. Oh, it's called Cairo. I am definitely mispronouncing that. I am so sorry. And we can apply the label. So now we're going to add a new layer, and this is going to be the one that houses the names of all the cities. So we go to text, and we're going to select a font that we like, something that looks kind of like I don't know, look good on a map. There's some fonts here that work pretty all right, but if you so choose, you can download some others online. Like on Reddit, I have a map I made for my Roman Empire campaign, and that was a font that I had downloaded online to really fit like the Roman aesthetic. But here, I think I could just stick to something that just like looks okay. Like Georgia, I think looks fine. Georgia does not look fine when it is in fucking bright red, but we can change that by not having it be bright red. The letters also, if we're at 100%, 100%, when you're at a zoom level of 100%, you'll see like pixel for pixel what it's gonna look like. If you move from 100%, some things might look a little bit foggy, like this, because the computer is now like working in different ratios for all the objects that are present. Georgia looks nice, and I'm sorry if I'm bouncing around here, but I'm just trying to find which font looks nice. This one might be nice. Let's see. Well, you can barely tell because it's so small, but if we want to, we can increase the font size to maybe like 16. Yeah, I mean that's I don't know. There's definitely better fonts. Let's see here. Also, with letters, I think you can enable anti-aliasing. I actually don't really know how that word's pronounced, but it doesn't matter. I mean, that's not even how you fucking spell that word, but it doesn't matter. We're gonna find a font that works. So give me a second. Yeah, okay. This one looks pretty nice. So I'm gonna use this one for all my cities. So what I like to do now is I like to Google some things. I'm gonna Google star character. If I, assuming I could spell it right. And this will give us a list of characters that exist. Okay, we're not using this website, this one. So Unicode characters that you're able to paste into paint.net, and that way you can have like a little star where a city is. You also want to look up black circle character. You want to spell all your words right, that's kind of important. And this is good. I mean, you have like it basically is a bullet point. So for Cairo, I'm going to use this normal black star. I'm going to, and it's QAHIRAH. So we're going to go here, paste the star. I'm going to put it right on top of the city, and it's going to be, actually, because there's a city here too, I'm going to actually make it right centered. So I'm going to type the name of the cities first. So let's QAHR. Oh, god damn it. It's QAHIRAH. I am so sorry for anybody who may or may not find my lack of spelling offensive, but Qairah. Yep, perfect. And then paste the star, and so now we can hover over and put it right on top of Cairo. Perfect. Now for the next province over, which also has a pretty decent amount of development, it's going to be this. There's no way in hell I'm going to remember how to spell that, but it's okay because Scanner Bag allows you to copy and paste the names up here. So first we're going to copy the bullet point. I'm going to go here, select a new area to type, paste it, and we're going to reselect align left. We're going to put it over that city. And it might not be exactly where the city is, but you can kind of guesstimate that it's probably closer to here than here. Although the entire delta is. I'm just kind of going on a rant right now, aren't I? But we're going to paste the city name here. There you go. We have another city. I know for a fact that that's Alexandria, but the the Arabic spelling of it is a little bit different. Something tells me that that's... Okay, I mean, the game says that that's the name of the province, so we'll just go with that. Which is not always the best approach, but it's okay. Also, I think if you have a numpad, you're able to just put like the bullet point just like in, so like with like an alt code. So if you hold down the alt key, yeah, you see, you hold down the alt key and you type 25CF, then I think it's, nope, it is definitely not that. So we're gonna paste in this, and then we're going to select the name. No. Yes. I'm gonna put it in there, and I'll have it aligned right because, oh gosh, I'll have it aligned right because it's not working terribly well. It doesn't fit with the other city names. Oh. I'm going to actually align this city a little bit to the, I'm going to align it right because there's other cities present there and I don't want those to get in the way. And I drag it over, and there you go. And so this is like the general process for just adding cities onto the map, and I'm going to do this for like, well, every example of decent development that I can get. If there's like areas that are very high developed, like Greece or the left side of Syria and Lebanon, you can just like add one important city, not like every single city that's important. But it's really up to you as to how you want to go about doing that. And just for reference, if you deselect layer 5, you can see that it looks pretty normal, like, you know, just cities on a map. Anyway, I'm going to speed up the footage of me just dotting back and forth and adding all this development because I know you don't want to sit and watch me do that for several minutes. There also might be examples of like provinces that are like, I don't know, like a province here that is highly developed. Like, where exactly do you pinpoint the location of the city? So the thing is that this entire province right here, anywhere could house where on the map of EU4 there's the little collection of houses because each province has like a specific location for it. Like in the Constantinople province, the houses, like the literal buildings on the map, exist right here. So for a province like this, I like to put the city in a place where it would like make sense that it would exist. So forgive me if this is ignorant of actual context of the region, but I believe that a city closer to the coast might make more sense than a city in the middle of the desert. There's also examples of like, I don't know, provinces you would like to label, because obviously the main city on Cyprus is not called Cyprus. I believe there's actually a way in-game to figure out like the name of the city that's present there. And most of the time, like, the game just defaults to naming the city present in the province. They just name it the same thing as what the province is called. But in this case, I'm just labeling Cyprus with a little dot because it was a highly developed province, and I feel like it's a good addition to put into my map. Same with Crete. Kind of like as a flex on the Ottomans, I'm going to name it Yakubidopolis, just because that was the name of the house that controlled Arabia. Like, I think the entirety of my gameplay after I reformed into Arabia. So I'll just name it that. Why not? It's basically your choice to make. Because keeping it named, keeping it as Constantinopolis seems a little bit weird, considering I'm not, I wasn't playing as the Greeks. So I like to have fun with naming Constantinopolis to be something kind of like correspondent to your empire. Cool, so I basically have all the cities down. So now this is what it's going to look like without the development map mode. I think it looks pretty good. It's thing is that if you don't have cities, you can put you could put the title of your empire over like here, like Arabia. But I'm actually gonna decide. I'm deciding to put a little banner here instead because I really like the banners, and I'll show you how to do that next. So we want to delete the development layer, and now we have layer 6, which has all of our titles. We're gonna make oh well, hell, I probably could have used the text layer. I'll just delete that. I'm gonna add a new layer, and this is where things get cool. So what I want to do is I want to find the flag that EU4 uses for my country. And I actually have a mod that gives you like more flags. So in order to open that, I'll actually have to go into, well, let's see. It still uses the base EU4 flag for it. So for the base EU4 flag, you can just go to the EU4 wiki, save image as, not wallpapers, download, there we go. Actually take this, go to paint and add it as a layer. So now we have the flag. It's very decently sized, which is good. And we're gonna just kind of hold down shift, and we're gonna shrink it down to like roughly the size that we want it to be in the banner. I think maybe this is good. I'm going to actually, I mean, this part doesn't really matter, but I'm going to move it so it's right in the corner. So let's see, there. I use the arrow keys there for precision. Now hit escape, so it's in its own little layer. And then over the flag, yeah, so you have the flag in one layer. You want to add a new layer, we'll have it be layer 5, and we're going to draw the border over the flag that we want to use. So we have a couple of options. One thing you could do, which I really like doing, is you can go to the internet and you can look up shield vector. I think it might be shield vector, or like shield PNG. Might be PNG, let's see. No, not ONG, PNG. So you could look up the shield, like a shield PNG just like this, and you can, let's see, let's get a better one. That sounds pretty good. So you can right click it, copy it, go here, and paste it, and it exists like this. Now, within the program, we hit escape. And I'm not going to be using this because I'm going to be using a circle for Arabia, but we can take our magic wand again. Or that's not a magic wand. We can take our magic wand, put the tolerance at 0, and select the white. Now, you might actually want to put the tolerance a little bit higher just so it crops out all like the little white pixels. So I'm actually going to put the tolerance, I feel like 50 just about does it. Then we hit delete, and now all we have is the shield. So the next thing you would want to do is you would select it like this. You would hit M, or you would say move selected pixels. You move it here, and we want to fit it over the flag that we have. So I hold down shift again. I drag it like this to keep its proportions. And then I can like move it so that it's on top. So that's one thing you could do. If you're playing like a European country, I feel like the shield would work a little bit better. But another thing you can do is you can actually just use paint.net's the shapes that are built into paint.net. So we want the colors just to be black and white for now. Or, I feel like black would actually work the best here. I was going to make it like the red of the crescent, but actually speaking of the red of the crescent, I'm going to make the border the same one. So if I go to the color picker, select that. Oh wait, sorry. You have to be on the same layer. So I select this, and then I go back to my inner glow. I'm going to fill this. Oh gosh. There we go. So now it's the same red. Maybe even change the green too. Let's see. Ooh. I don't know if I like that. think it's a little too dark. I feel like the text is more legible here. So I'll keep it at that shade. Anyways, so I'm actually going to select here. I'm going to keep it black. And now I'm going to make a circle. You could select what kind of fill you want, so adjust the outline, and the outline will use your primary color. And then I'm going to hold down circle, and I'm going to, wrong layer. I'm going to hold down circle, and I'm going to drag it over this. I'll put the width at like 5, and that determines like the width of or the thickness of the circle itself, of like the outline. I think this is good, and I want to position it right in the middle of the circle, which can be a little bit difficult. Sometimes you have to like stretch it, like crop it just a tiny bit. It can be a little bit difficult to get it right on the center, but at a certain point it's pretty much like not noticeable that it's not. So we have the circle over the flag, and you have the outline, and this is the same process you would have with the shield too. So now what you want to do is you want to merge the two. So I merge this layer on top of that, so they're the same layer now. I want to go back to my magic wand, but this time I'm going to put the tolerance at 0, and instead of being a global, because if I was global I would select the entirety of the green, and I don't want that. I want it local or contiguous. I then select the outside, hit delete, and there you go. You're left with essentially an emblem of the country, and actually I think this turned out quite well. So you can now select it. This is its own layer. You can move it around. I could just like slap it on top of the middle of my country, which would look a little bit weird, but you can move it and have it be here. I think this would be a good spot. And then we're gonna add the banner. So the banner is pretty simple. You just actually, the way I do it is you just make another shape. So instead of a circle, you'll have a rectangle. Yeah. Rectangle, and the thickness should still be 5. The color should still be black to keep in line with this. And actually, maybe let's make it filled. So we'll have it like this. Draw a filled shape with outline. We'll draw it like this. Oh, sorry. We're gonna want a new layer for this, and we're gonna want it underneath the emblem. It's like this. Perfect. And it now goes next to the emblem. My roommates are playing Smash in case you can hear. So you put it like that, and then yeah. So now I could put it in my label. This should be the right size, but if it's not a big deal because you can just adjust the layer. You can like delete the layer, add a new one. But now we're gonna put in the text. We're gonna keep it the same text or the same style as this. So this is Javanese, and we're gonna put it at 24, whatever fits the banner. So that's actually kind of too small. The Empire of Arabia, 1821. So I can have aliasing, anti-aliasing on. 48's a little bit too big, maybe 36. If you can't hear that, then you are probably deaf. This is good. So I made the banner a little bit too big. Actually, let's see. Hold on. That would be good. I could put it like right there. And now I made the banner just a little bit too big, but it's not really the end of the world. So we're gonna go switch back. Let's see. Oh shit. That's fine. We're gonna switch back. We're gonna be on the layer that has the banner on it. We're going to make a line of brush width 5. We're gonna draw it over, and it helps to have the grid on here. We're gonna draw it over where we would like the banner to end. Hold down the shift button so that it stays straight, and then there we go. Release it, and that's a good spot for it to end. And then for the rest of the banner that we don't want, we're going to just select it like this and hit delete. There you go. So yeah, I mean it's a pretty good label. You have the Empire here. I think this is good. I mean, you could also, now that you've done the banner and the flag, you can merge them. You definitely heard that. Uh, you can merge them. You can move them around like this. I think this is good. I mean, it has all the cities. It has a good shade of green. Yeah, so that's essentially it. That's how I make my maps, and not all maps are the same. A lot of them depend on like context and like what country you're playing. If you want to make it look like a Wikipedia article, and I know I've said that a billion times, but if you want to make it look like a Wikipedia article versus if you want it to look more antiquated and more like parchment paper, you could vary it. But once you learn how to use paint.net, and especially once you learn how to use the magic wand tool, I mean, all of this is super DIY. Yeah, so this is my first tutorial on map making. I will actually be making another map pretty soon for a different country that I've played, and perhaps I'll record myself doing that so you can watch my process in a little bit of a different context. Thank you so much for watching. This is AG Ferrero signing out.